First things first, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to report that apparently 10% of my audience, well, it's not really my audience, 10% out of 20 respondents have said that apparently I look Middle Eastern. But I'm glad to say it's only 10%. The remaining 65% say no, and there's 25% of you that just say get a haircut. So thank you so much to everybody that responded to the poll. I thought it was just a little bit of a joke based on some of the comments I've had before, both in person with people in my social circle and online now, which was quite surprising, but relatively humorous. And to the person that posted the comment saying that, oh well, you guys are known for being sheep shaggers, so it's not out of the realm of possibility for you to be with a goat. You got me, sir. You got me, and you did make me laugh, sir, madam, whatever, mix, whatever it is. You did make me laugh. In fairness, you did make me laugh. You got me with that one. So, anyway, getting straight into today's topics. Just give you a quick update on quick update on some of the other stories we talked about last time. So, Graham Linehan, who was arrested by Met Police, has announced his intentions to sue them. For those of you who didn't check in last time, we talked about Graham Linehan. I believe I was saying Linehan before. I don't believe I'm pronouncing his name right. Graham Linehan, however the hell you say it. Was arrested when he came back to the UK for, of course, as we see in the UK, you know, if you do really, really heinous crimes, you'll probably get off scot-free. But if you make the wrong X post or say the wrong thing on social media, say the wrong thing on a podcast, whatever it is, you'll be the enemy of the state. He's announced his intentions to sue them. So see how that goes, because I believe it was Mark Rowley came out and said, no, we were forced to arrest him. We weren't originally going to arrest him. We were forced to arrest him. So it seems as though there was some kind of miscommunication or whatever it was between the Starmer regime and the Rowley regime. So that was very, very entertaining to hear. Another thing, ladies and gentlemen, which is very, very scary indeed, is that another AfD politician has been found dead. So we covered last time, there was a story that came out, I think it was in the Hungarian conservative newspaper, we talked about it coming out in, where 4 at the time, and there was 2 that hadn't been reported in the press, but there was another 2 that were reported, taking the grand total at the time to 6 AfD politicians that have been found dead, seemingly under mysterious circumstances, right before elections in key areas. And it's led many to speculate that maybe the globalists, seeing the threat to their power, that people are waking up to the agenda that they're trying to implement, right? The global communist system they're trying to implement. People are waking up to it, and now they're just outright killing the political opposition. So what many people seem to be thinking. And there's been another politician that's recently been found dead, which has only thrown more fuel on that pyre, so to speak. We'll see what more comes of it. I haven't seen anybody cite any, newspaper articles or anything like that to really read you anything about it. But yeah, very, very suspicious indeed. Pray for Germany, pray for Europe, pray for Britain, obviously. But yeah, seems like we got some very, very dark times and dark battles ahead. I suppose we have a lot of battles ahead, ladies and gentlemen, so we need to make sure we're united and on the same page. Speaking of being on the same page, right, is some of the things that have been coming out recently with regards to, we've got 2 things to go over in a moment. First things first, the most pressing story at the moment, because of how much it matters in terms of the totalitarian crackdown we are seeing in Britain. This is from the iPaper. Now, this was published, this is the only one I can find. This was published back in July 9th. And the iPaper, at least as far as I can see, seems to be more so to the left, kind of like one of the, I don't want to insult it because I've never read it, but I've seen some of the things which they put out, the headlines and stuff like that. And it just seems as though it's like your regular kind of left-wing rag from what I can see. I don't think it's on the level of The Guardian or anything like that. But they did write an article which came out in July, which I believe people have been referencing, saying that Keir Starmer wants to move right on ahead with his plans to use digital ID in the form of cards to, what was it? Tackle migration in order to address illegal migration and enhanced border security. His plans to introduce digital ID cards for all citizens. Do tell me, why do we all need digital ID to track just the illegal migrants coming in? Why do we all need it? But no, of course, we know exactly what this is, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the classic thing in the problem, reaction, solution equation, if you will. The political system has created a problem which they want to create a certain reaction for so that they can propose the solution that they always wanted. It's a little bit like the meme you see circulating on X when it comes to communism and stuff like that, right? Where it has Karl Marx's face in the middle of it, and it gives you that little cycle going around the outside of all the things that happen to further communism. And it says communism creates problems, proposed communist solution, further communism, that kind of stuff, right? And you see different memes, and usually there's the lines then thrown in, like people starve to death, and people end up being killed by the government, all of these things, right? So there's different memes types you'll see out there, but we've covered it time and time again about how they want to propose the solution they always wanted, and this is the manifestation of Blair's agenda, which always goes back to him, and he's the one really pulling the puppet strings, behind the scenes. Obviously, he's then loyal to his globalist paymasters. All this goes back to Blair, and even potentially the foundations were being laid in terms of the political correctness system even before then, right? Going even back to the 70s, 60s, and 50s, and possibly even before, depending on who you ask. So they've written 5 radical moves that Starmer can make to crack down on small boats. Prime Minister eyes radical new tools to curb channel crossings, from digital IDs to a benefits clampdown. So, start off by giving a little bit of context. At this time, small boat arrivals had hit 20,000 in the first 6 months of the year. Obviously, now one of the big things that they've tried to negotiate now is the one in, one out policy, which they try to say, like, oh yeah, we sent 30-odd thousand away. Yeah, but we also let at least the same number, if not more, in. So that tells you all you need to know about that, right? Because again, illegal immigration is just one small facet of the problem. It's immigration as a whole that's the problem. Here's a little bit of a graph for you, ladies and gentlemen, which I'll try and pull up on screen for you, although it doesn't seem to want to let me. There's no way that I can really bring this up on screen. I tell you what I'll do then, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just bring the web page up for you. So if you have a look at this one, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be a graph on screen coming up for you now. It says rising small boat crossings. At the time, arrivals in June were 48% higher than in the year before, right? So bear with me 2 seconds. Here is the graph in question. So as you can see, for 2023, it was 29,437. And then in 2024, it is 36,816. So that's that. Arrivals in June were 48% higher than the same period in 2024. So it's actually 48% higher than that 2024. So again, we're seeing massive increase. You can see by the yellow line. I'll bring it up on screen for you again. You can see it in the yellow line. Sorry, I missed that when I was reading it, ladies and gentlemen. So, you can see there how much higher the yellow line is compared to all of the years previous. So very, very scary stuff. Very, very scary stuff. And obviously the whole solution, the whole thing that they wanted to bring in was the digital ID system, because the digital ID system is the number one thing they need to bring in. Central bank digital currency, which then will be tied to digital ID, and then you have a social credit system. It'll be tied to social controls, and it'll be something like China, where, in the words of Jordan B. Peterson, it will be so complete, it will be a totalitarian system so complete, it will make 1984 blush. Now, if you go back over, I haven't finished it yet, if you go back over to my other podcast, so I started it on my other podcast, the Evidence-Based Excellence one, which was tied to my PTing at the time. I haven't done that, obviously, in a long time now, having been sacked from the gym a little while ago for my political opinions. And on there, though, will be the Wrong Speak series, which is an audio-only series, which I might try and import over to this one, because it's obviously more apt on this one, where I was actually reading the book, and if you didn't have a chance to read the book yourself or whatever, you could then listen to my thoughts on it, and then actually read it chapter for chapter. Every single episode of that Wrong Speak series would be a chapter, so we might go back and do that when I get a little bit extra time. And I might migrate. I finished off, I know, part one, so I might see if I can migrate it over. For digital ID cards, one of the more contentious policy options is the establishment of a national digital ID system to combat illegal employment and monitor immigration status. Now, think about it. When we were, this is the sad truth really, is that when we were a, non-overflowing, not being completely ethnically replaced by alien cultures, in many instances alien people, we would never have ever needed anything like a digital ID system. So again, the fact of the matter is we could, instead of trying to find all these different strategies to, mop the floor, maybe we could turn the tap off that's causing the bath to overflow first, and maybe we could let some water out, that will stop the floor from getting wet, so to speak. I was like analogies like that, simple analogies like that. It's like, if you've got an overflowing bath, what do you do first? Grab the mop or turn off the tap? Right? First things first, obviously, you turn off the tap and then you let the water out, right? That can be analogous too. And then you use the mop to mop up whatever's left on the floor. Several European countries, including France, Germany, and the Netherlands, already use biometric or digital ID cards. How the hell is it working out for them? I'll give you a clue, ladies and gentlemen, not very well. You literally saw last episode, I'm not laughing at the incident itself because it's obviously very, very serious. We literally talked about last time the Tunisian terrorist that was shouting Allah Akbar and stabbing people in the street, and he obviously got cut down by police. So it's not working out very well over there either. So why would we take that, right? Why would we think that, let's do the same thing that they're doing, thinking it's going to be different, right? It's a definition of insanity. These systems are often linked to work permits, benefits access, and public service eligibility. In the UK, the idea has long been politically sensitive, with critics on the left and the right fearing it could represent the first step towards a dystopian surveillance state where civil liberties and privacy are infringed. That's what they outright say they want to do. Klaus Schwab, when he's speaking at the World Economic Forum, when he was the chair of it, saying, there'd be no such concept as privacy and we need to force change, right? They don't care. They want to force change. It's still at the threat of a global communist revolution going on. You say, for all the people that, and I've highlighted this before, that with the more and more of a lurch, with the more and more forcing towards a global communist tyranny, you're seeing more and more people now outright throwing themselves into the awaiting arms of National Socialists, right, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. In many ways, mortal enemies of the communists, but also want to, use a dystopian totalitarian state for their own ends as well, right? The methods aren't so much different, even if they're mortal enemies to each other, right? You're now seeing the lurch more and more towards genuine far-right ideology, to the extent now, as I said, you have prominent speakers from the Nationalist Socialist Network in Australia, for example, Thomas Sowell, whom I initially thought, when I saw the march going through Melbourne, I believe it was, I thought it was one of those American psyops, you know what I mean? I thought it was a true psyop. No, they're a real thing. And there was a clash between them and Antifa in Australia, which we'll review the footage of that coming up a little bit later. But now that they can see where the wind is blowing, they be pushed more and more and more towards the extremes. And you know what's going to happen when you have extreme on the one side versus extreme on the other? It's not going to end well. It's really, really not going to end well. This could be solved tomorrow if we actually wanted to solve it, i.e. if the government wanted to solve it, it could be solved tomorrow. The fact of the matter is we need to accept now is that the government doesn't want to solve the problem. They want more of the problem because they need the problem to create the reaction to bring in the solution, right? They want to spark civil unrest. They want to spark some conflict because then it gives them the powers and the impotence to crack down on good, otherwise law-abiding people that are scared for their communities because they're being put under siege and the government is facilitating it because they want them to be able to push the solution of, well, just accept digital ID. Just accept digital ID. They want that control. They're doing everything to gain that control. It is extremely, and I know you guys know this, it is an extremely well-oiled machine, an extremely well-thought-out plan. And I don't know. I'm not losing hope. I know I know everybody's going to face judgment one day or another, right? So there's always that little bit of solace in that. But again, it seems that it's only going one way. And ultimately, I think, And this is why, again, DEI in the military has been so damaging, right? Because in many ways we've put outright enemies in our own military. It's going to be the military that obviously decides the day. It's going to be which side the army is going to side, whether they're going to side with the government and they're going to side with the invasion force, or are they going to be our force to fight back? Are they going to be able to see it for what it is? Are they going to be able to see that they're being deliberately put against their own countrymen and they are facilitating in their imprisonment? We've seen from many other dictatorships around the world that, you know, when the incentive is there, the army will go along with it. And that's the number one thing that the government needs. If they lose the army, they lose everything, right? So ultimately, maybe you're hearing this, maybe you're somebody in the forces, please, you know, not saying you in particular, but please understand our perspective just as regular people and your fellow patriots, and please be on our side should the time come. We need you. We need you because we don't have anything else. You know, it's not like America where you have a Second Amendment and you can get an entire township together to form a civilian militia and actually unite together. We don't have that option. We're completely reliant on you. We've seen we can't rely on the police. We can't rely on the police. So if it's going to come down to it, it's going to be you guys that decide today. So please be on our side. Please be on our side. There have been reports that a digital ID card, something heavily endorsed by Sir Tony Blair, I'm just going to call him Tony Blair, he doesn't deserve the Sir, is now being reconsidered within government departments, particularly as efforts to combat illegal employment. Which is a case of, you put the military in a channel, you turn the boats around, you don't allow them to come in, and you start getting rid of people that have no right to be here that you do know about, that are always in hotels. You clear these hotels, but you don't just clear the people into the communities, you clear them back to wherever the hell it is they came from, France and beyond, right? You don't need digital ID. Biggest thing to understand, ladies and gentlemen, again, I know I'm preaching to the converted here, is that the government is not on our side. The government is not on our side. They want to enslave us. They want to enslave us. And if you're on the side of the government at the moment, if you're one of the woke crowd, or if you're just somebody that's naturally more left-wing, liberally inclined, make no mistake, it'll come for you as well. Even if you're supporting everything at the moment because you believe that everyone has a different opinion to you as a far-right Nazi, a bigot, whatever it is, right? Even if you believe all that right now, it's going to affect you as well, because you're under the same surveillance state that we are. God forbid then you don't have something happen to you that causes you to question your thoughts and question your worldview, and then you end up changing it, and then you realize how much you were on the side of the system that brought it in, and you realize then how imprisoned you really are. You know, when we were trying to warn you the whole time, and we were trying to fight the system the whole time, and you were on the side of the system, you better hope that doesn't happen to you. You better hope this thing doesn't happen where your mind changes, where your worldview changes, because then you'll be stuck in a world of hurt along with the rest of us. And there's actually a video that came with this as well. So this is from a Wide Awake Media on X, just to give you another insight again to what awaits us if digital ID comes in, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Renee Hoendekamp on the UK government's mission to introduce mandatory digital ID. Says, using the example of when you've eaten too much beef because you've overstepped your carbon footprint, it won't let you buy it at the tills. When you go to fill up, we won't be able to afford meat if the things keep going the way they're going anyway. It's, if you go to your supermarket now, it's like, what, £7, £8, £10 for a single steak. Again, they're trying to sooner or later you won't be able to afford it, ladies and gentlemen. And then crickets will start appearing on your shelves, then cockroaches will start appearing in the aisles. Make no mistake about it. When you go to fill up your car, it won't let you put petrol in, and when you haven't been a nice person online, it won't let you get onto an airplane. Bear in mind, they might just decide that you're made homeless now. Let's not forget, it's not just the fact they won't let you go on an airplane. They're going to stop you from taking any flights anyway, right? They'll have all the private jet flights they want and all the lovely cuts of beef that they want, right? The elites will have all that. You won't even be able to allow, one short haul flight every 3 years? I think it's what Jordan B. Peterson has been quoted as saying, one short haul flight every 3 years. Everything will be rationed. It'll be like something straight out of 1984, ladies and gentlemen, where everything is given to you on like a credit-based system and you're only able to get like one shirt every 6 months or whatever. That's the way it's going to work out. Make no mistake about it. They want you to have absolutely nothing and be happy about it. Here's that video coming on screen for you now, ladies and gentlemen. Video coming on screen any moment, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, the fact that you want to put the decline of this country on the fact that there's a bit of paper washing that's laughable.
I'm not saying it's all about that.
Down to your Chancellor, nothing else. But apart from that, the problem with digital ID, and I read this article by Pat Fadden today. Who's Tony Blair's mouthpiece? Because Tony Blair wants this because he's going to make zillions from it, by the way. It's the only thing he talks about. There is only one line in this whole article, which for me is absolutely critical. And that is that it's going to be so easy to do all of the things that you've just said. You can even collect your supermarket loyalty points on it. Yeah. That is the scariest line in that whole article. Yeah. You know why? Because eventually, Kai, when we have this whole thing where you can't do anything in society without your digital ID, not only will you be able to collect your supermarket points on it, which sounds all lovely, when you've eaten too much beef because you've overstepped your carbon footprint, it won't let you buy it at the tills. When you go to fill up your car, it won't let you put petrol in. And when you haven't been a nice person online, it won't let you get on an airplane. This is the start of a social credit system. It's wrong, and everybody should say no, and I will say no. We have a passport. They know who I am. That's enough. And
couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more, especially there where it says they have more than enough ID to ID us, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need any more. Only thing is, at the moment, your current passport, your current driver's license, whatever it may be, it can't be directly linked to a Samsung wallet or an Apple Watch or Apple Wallet, whatever it is, whatever the equivalent Apple system is, you know, where you store your bank cards and everything like that. Pardon me. It's got no link to that. They know exactly who we are, ladies and gentlemen. They don't need any more identification for us. All right. We shouldn't need identification for the people here that shouldn't be here, because clue is in the name there. They shouldn't be here. All right. So there's absolutely no reason for this system to be brought in. It is being brought in with totalitarian implications. It is the start of a social credit system, and it is on us to resist. It is on us to make sure we keep cash alive, to make sure we keep local business alive, to make sure we're doing everything we can to support our farmers. We really need now, and I've not been the best at doing this by any means, we really need to start being intentional about it. We cannot afford to be asleep at the wheel anymore. We cannot afford to be asleep at the wheel anymore. So please, ladies and gentlemen, take these warnings very, very seriously. And I know a lot of you're probably already doing this anyway, because you're good people. You're good people. You want to support your communities. You want to support your local high street, support local business. Please keep doing that, and please keep encouraging people to do the same. Send this video out, share this video. I always appreciate it when you share these videos and leave comments, etc. Please share it around. Make sure people see, even if they just see this clip, even if they just see the clip of Renee Hodenkamp here, laying it out for them. Even if they just see that, maybe be the thing that causes them to be that little bit more intentional about it. It might spark a little bit of curiosity even. We have precious little time now, but anything we could do to make people more aware of what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, because so many people are still just so asleep at the wheel. And this is a car where everyone's driving because everyone has the vote, right? Everyone has a vote. Everyone has a vote every single day to vote with their actions, to vote with their intentions, to vote with their wallets, right? And we need to start being more intentional about that, because the government is going to prey. Again, we got to think of this as an enemy now. The government is going to prey on every mistake that we make, And they'll never face justice for anything that they've done. If you enjoyed that clip, then make sure to go on over to the Voice of the Valleys X page at VOT_Valleys on X. We're also on Instagram at Voice of the Valleys. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon. Godspeed.